Hi, this is Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of RegAlytics, with your update on this week's 70,868 regulatory alerts from 11,914 regulatory bodies. The regular of the week is a little different from my normal. For those of you who talk to me, you know that I love being tested. So people call me all the time with a regulatory question and something to ask my view, and usually I answer at the top of my head. But lately I've been using our MCP connector with Claude to ask RegAlytics. Anyway, I got 2 calls this week with good questions, and I'm going to share them with you. So the first question was a colleague who's a former CDO, that's a Chief Data Officer, and she was asked by a client what the point of the role was anymore, given that the SEC and the Fed and the OCC have really dialed back enforcement generally. So I asked RegAlytics via Claude what was going on in data-related enforcement with the state regulators, because remember, the states have had their federal money cut back quite a bit, and they have a big shortfall to make up. And one great way to make up for a shortfall is by fining companies. So the regulator of the week is the state of Massachusetts Security Division, which fined Fidelity Brokerage Services $1.25 million over a data breach that exposed the personal information of about 77,000 people. Massachusetts required Fidelity to notify all the affected residents and all of these things. You would not get this from regular Claude because the information's dated on there for a couple months. So if you think that's bad, think about the one Claude pulled up, which was Lakeview, Pingora, and Bayview, that were also loan servicing companies, had a data breach in 2021. It impacted about 5.8 million consumers, and the state mortgage regulators coordinated to bring a total fine of 19.6 million. But the issue here isn't the fine. Think of the legal fees defending yourself against multiple state regulators working together. And it was not until January of 2025 when the fines came out. So that's years. So to answer the CDO's question, I argued that the role actually matters more than ever, because when federal enforcement goes quiet, states fill the vacuum. And if you're not following the states, goodness help you. The topic of the week is in the same format. I was talking to a colleague who was asking me about trust companies. So my question in Claude, using RegAlytics, tell me any regulatory alerts that pertain specifically to traditional trust companies in the United States. Turns out, comments just closed for an OCC proposed rule, National Bank Chartering Clarification. They explicitly clarified that national trust banks can engage in non-fiduciary activities. And this is a significant structural shift because it expands what national trust banks can do and may actually affect competitive positioning of the state-chartered traditional trust companies. And then Delaware SB 16 is modernizing Delaware banks and trust companies. It's going through the promulgation process right now, but it adds digital assets and virtual currency. It updates corporate governance requirements for trust companies. It facilitates interstate trust company operations. It expands fiduciary authority for out-of-state. And don't forget that Delaware is the dominant trust jurisdiction. And then Utah, trust business modifications, has been signed by the governor in March and is effective May 6th. And this reorganizes trusts in Utah, clarifies who can operate a trust company, segregating assets, and it restricts self-dealing, a whole bunch of rules. So if you serve in the Utah trust market, I hope you know about this. And that is it this week for RegAlytics. We have the global supply chain of the world's regulatory alerts in one very easy to use place. If you need a solution for anything related to regulation, give us a call.